It's great to be part of the Ecosystem Business Summit lineup here. I'm so excited about the set of speakers who are following me uh, and, and eager to hear from them. So my session today, I wanted to share with you our perspectives on ecosystem business management. This is a topic that we are intensely passionate about at WorkSpan. And we have been working hard at it over the last 6-7 years, working diligently to grow and grow with this category and solve these ecosystem management needs in a very compelling way that makes it very useful for our customers as they go about creating impact. And so, one of the definitions that really struck us early in our days was this definition from Accenture, where they defined ecosystem to be the network of cross-industry players who work together to define, build, market, sell, and service customer solutions together. Each can deliver a piece, but together, the company working with its partners, they create tremendous value for the end customer, and that's the goal, to create value ultimately for the customer, so that the customer's problems can be solved end to end. And in that context, our company defines its mission to be the world's trusted ecosystem network. Our goal is to connect businesses like yourselves with your trusted partners to create value and abundance together, because we truly believe that in this connected, digitized world, the right partners coming together can create tremendous value for the end customer and for themselves and for their partners. And in fact, this observation that partners can work together and create tremendous impact for the end customers has really been observed and has grown tremendously over the last few years. And has been watched and observed and analyzed by some really good industry leaders and analysts who have come out and said that ecosystems are playing a tremendous role in the growth of a company and in the growth of the impact that end customers are receiving. And in fact, Jay McBain at Forrester, who we'll hear from in the next section, has drawn an amazing parallel and called this decade, the 2020s, to be the decade of ecosystems. And in many ways, it is such a natural successor to the 2000s. That was the decade in which sales processes and sales force got digitized. And that enabled companies to reach a lot more customers and consumers. And in the 2010s, marketing got digitized. That led to a lot more awareness of the tools and the capabilities being made available to the rest of the market. And in this decade, now that these primary go-to-market tools of sales and marketing have gotten digitized, services have gotten digitized, now started the decade of ecosystems. And in fact, if you look around, some of the fastest growing companies in the world today have put in the effort and to create a thriving ecosystem around them. But correspondingly, we could also say that those companies are thriving because they put in the effort to drive an ecosystem in which their partners could contribute and increase the value of the solutions for the end customer. And that has powered the growth and impact that those companies have been having. So in this context, as ecosystems becomes the multiplicative factor to differentiate how companies go to market and create value for the end customer, the question, of course, becomes, what is an effective ecosystem strategy, and what's an effective ecosystem operating model in which companies can operate their plans and their strategies and execute them to achieve a goal, so that the entire ecosystem can start getting aligned behind the efforts of the company, or the company can align its efforts behind the efforts of its ecosystem partners, so that end customer value can get accelerated. And towards that end, from the early days, we have been focused on thinking about an ecosystem operating model, a simple 4-point framework of how companies engage with their partners in the ecosystem, so that they can get alignment around each of these 4 points and create the impact that the end customer requires. And of course, the flywheel, the framework consists of focusing on how you would co-sell with your partners and putting down the business processes and the metrics and the incentives that are needed to effectively co-sell with the partner, share referrals, share accounts, share leads, collaborate on opportunities, do account planning. There's a whole set of motions that need to get digitized and repeatable so that companies can co-sell effectively with its partners. And of course, co-selling is enabled by putting in the right kind of incentives so that your teams and your partner teams can align behind each other and speak in one voice to the customer. And this incentives is one form of investment. Other forms of investment would be the joint investment in time and money that companies do with their partners so that they can test and build out effective solutions that can reach different sections of the market via the co-innovation that they do in putting joint solutions in front of the customer. And of course, to reach the customer, there is a requirement to align with the partners and do effective brand awareness and demand generation marketing so that more customers can be aware of the complete solutions that the company offers with its ecosystem partners, which results in more selling opportunities, which results in more incentives and more interesting solutions or complete solutions being formed. And the ultimate goal of every company is to put this framework together, figure out what are the initiatives they are doing in each of these 4 buckets, so that effectively the flywheel starts rotating with more and more partners and therefore creating more and more impact. So this ecosystem operating model, if you think about the approach that you would take to put this framework in place, that then begs the question that once the strategy and the plans have been defined, how do you digitize this model so that you can work effectively with many companies in the ecosystem? And that's where our company comes in. That's where our mission comes in. Our goal and our mission is to digitize your ecosystem operating models, and we realize that every company's operating models and ecosystem frameworks are best suited for the customers they service, for the partners they want to reach the customers with, and the strengths that they themselves have. And to that extent, we help you digitize those framework decisions that you have made into simple, executable, and manageable components. So that you could manage multiple different kinds of partnerships and multiple different motions coherently together without getting overwhelmed as the ecosystem size grows. And towards this end, we integrate with your internal systems, but our mission is to service the ecosystem, and therefore we have built a lot of capabilities in our platform to not only integrate with your systems, but also allow your partners to integrate their systems with this platform, so that effectively work is reduced and velocity is achieved not only for you, but work is reduced and velocity is achieved, and therefore engagement is higher for your partners as well, and so that both parties can lean in together behind the goals and the framework that works effectively for both sides of the company boundary. And that digitization effectively enables your teams to collaborate with your partners' teams around a shared set of processes and data, so that effective alignment can be achieved, so that execution can happen in a much more streamlined manner, irrespective of the number of companies that each partner manager is managing or engaged with. So this digitized platform has been our mission to build from day one, that enables you to plug and play with any number of your partners in your ecosystem, but conversely gives them a lot of capabilities to reduce their work and lean in effectively to achieve more compelling results with you, leveraging the various capabilities that the ecosystem model offers to them. And towards that end, we have had tremendous learnings over the past 6-7 years as we have grown the company, grown in the space and with the space that has become so impactful. and will continue to grow in the coming decade. And there are certain essentials that we have taken away that we wanted to share with you as you think about digitizing your own ecosystem operating model, your own frameworks. What are the 5 things that you should think through as you put your initiatives and programs into play, as you engage with many different types of partners in the ecosystem? So listed out on this slide that I'll dive in and help build your intuition are 5 key components that effectively decide, whether your digitization succeeds or whether your digitization struggles, and if your digitization struggles, the scale and impact of the initiatives that you have in mind could also suffer. And so the 5 things are: think through what is the ecosystem business process around which the teams will get aligned, your team and your partners' teams. What are the joint processes that they are working together to achieve the goals repeatably? What is the data exchange hub that you have defined so that data can flow from your company to theirs, their company to yours? What are the access control policies you need to put in place so that your internal IT security teams are aligned completely behind it, but so are your partnering teams, knowing that the data that they share is intended for the right recipient and will not get misrouted. So these access control policies are really important to take care of as things get repeatable in this day and age of privacy and GDPR, and this is amazingly important topic to think through. And conversely, also give the right controls to your partners, because they also have GDPR requirements that they have to follow in working with you, and it's important that their needs get catered to. The ecosystem intelligence that emerges will guide your plan. The more feedback that you can get, the faster you can iterate and the better focus you can present. And ultimately, ecosystems are, they are about participating in other companies' ecosystems as much as other companies are trying to participate in yours. So this is a Copernican movement where you have to create a framework in which you allow your team to simultaneously work on your programs, but also participate in other companies' programs, much like the world, in our solar system, the planets revolve around the sun, and in our ecosystem, all the companies and our partners, they all revolve around our sun, which is the shared customer. We are in the service and the gravity of the customer, and therefore it's just not my way or the highway. It's creating these multi-partner ecosystems where you effectively participate in other people's ecosystems while allowing other companies to participate in yours. So taking these 5 principles together creates a framework on how you execute or digitize your operating model. And in not thinking through one of these dimensions often introduces friction that then you have to come back, iterate, and replace. So some of the friction stories are really interesting, and I can share with you in a couple of minutes across these dimensions. So for example, when you define your business process for how to engage with your company in a co-selling motion, people often think about defining their own internal sales process and expecting all the partners will directly work and align with your sales process. But guess what? Every company, every large customer, small customer out there in the world today has gone through their own digitization of their sales processes. They have their own sales processes that they have to simultaneously align with. And therefore, keeping these, not thinking through your partner sales processes or giving them the capabilities to run their own process aligned with yours, creates a lot of friction points, which results in a lot of escalations and conversations around each opportunity or referral that you are co-selling with. An ecosystem business process put together allows you to define your workflows and your business processes of co-selling, but also giving points of connection to your partners so that they could align their significant steps of their sales processes and attach it to your workflows, right? So for example, your acceptance and referral of post-sale opportunities mirrors to them the registration process of how they would refer, and once accepted, how do they get to engage and bring their salespeople along. Otherwise, these post-sale opportunities will just linger for several days. So thinking about an ecosystem business process and having a tool that enables you to effectively digitize your process, but also lets the partner digitize their process, is tremendously eliminating of friction and reducing work for your teams as well as your partners' teams. The second anecdote around integrations is really crucial in the sense that as people work through the processes, a lot of data has to flow from internal systems in your company, but also internal systems of your partner's company. And the faster this data flows, the faster you can make decisions and align with each other. So typically, people put together partnering tools or use digital tools where they expect the partners will come and upload and manually type in all the referrals and the opportunities and the claims and the activities that they are engaged in doing onto your system according to the way your forms are designed and your systems are designed. And this creates tremendous burden on the partners' teams to do a lot of data entry work that is just redundant and not value adding. So thinking about putting a platform together or a strategy together that enables partners to also integrate with their systems and bring in flow and automate their digital flows so that data that is relevant to you can be shared faster with you without having to impose on your partners' teams to do lots of data entry will result inevitably in bigger outcomes, bigger pipelines, easier selling with less work on both sides of the aisle. And such a multi-party integration system enables also you to start assembling an ecosystem picture much better. But assembling this picture in a much more access controlled manner. And this access control is something that increasingly people are becoming more and more aware about. Your IT and security teams are becoming more conscious of the flows between of customer information flowing between you and your partners. And in that context, the desire is to control not only information inside your company boundaries, but also have controlled granular access on fields that you have shared with the partners, so that when a consumer or a person comes to your company asking for information that you have on them and requiring the scrubbing of certain information that they own, that can be managed not only inside your own systems, but also on the tools that also on the information and the records that you shared with your partners. So how to exercise these access controls in a granular manner effectively inside your company, or even when data is shared with your partner, is becoming of increasing importance in the world today. And not thinking about it inevitably leads to embarrassing movements that can happen later. And towards that end, formulating what can you share, what can you not share as a company across all the partner managers, across all the partners, and expressing that as a fine-grained policy makes life secure and also much more streamlined, because everybody now can execute at speed, knowing that things are getting intentionally shared and have been scrutinized by the security teams. Now, as the data moves back and forth between the partners and the companies on your own initiatives and processes, there is a need to define the status and report on how things are going across different portions of your ecosystem. And towards that end, there is a need to stitch together the data that you own and the data that the partner has shared with you, so you can come up with a report or a metric that summarizes how well your initiatives are doing for yourself, but also how well your initiatives are doing for your partner. And towards that end, in using traditional partnering tools, we often end up creating silos where your tool has a lot of your data, but very little data from the partner. And vice versa, the partner tool they know everything about what's happening inside the company, but very little on the impact that your company is having on them. And towards that end, having a integrated access control mechanism that allows you to view your data as well as your partner's data, assembling a report that puts together this jigsaw puzzle of your data with your partner's data across the ecosystem results in tremendous ecosystem intelligence that allows reports and charts to be done that can guide management decisions on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So thinking about how reporting will happen, how metrics are important that will govern the execution, how access control policies are to be defined, and how process flows and key actions take place in a simplified manner between you and your company. These are the things that every partnering team struggles with on a day-to-day basis. And these are the things that often make the difference between achieving the strategy or struggling to have a streamlined execution. Now, these are the 4 components of a good digitization effort. The 5th component is something that makes the ecosystem space even more vastly interesting. And the ecosystem space is interesting because it's not just that partners have to come and work with you. In many cases, you have to go and work with the partners as well. And that is because you and your partners often have different levels of access to the end customer. Some customers you have tremendous access to, and the partners will come to you to service the end customer. And in other places, you have to go to your partner to reach the customer and be effective in collaborating with them. And in this world, in the old world where we set up partnering portals and tools, and every company has their own partnering portal and tool, and they expect other partners to come to them to work with them, has largely become outdated and will continue to get outdated in an accelerated manner in the coming 5 to 10 years. Because different companies have different pockets of strength, and there is a need to simultaneously allow your partners to work with you, but also lean in and work with your partners on their customers. And that kind of an effective strategy where multiple companies can connect with each other and run their processes repeatedly, but also include a third partner when needed, becomes tremendously burdensome if all of our partnering motions are completely isolated and led by separate tools. So towards that end, any tool that helps you collaborate, work with different companies in the ecosystem will start yielding results in very interesting manners, because life can get simplified for you to manage your initiatives as well as your partners' initiatives. And this dimension is something that we especially zoned on in WorkSpan. We do the 4 dimensions, but this 5th dimension is something that we understood early, and we have been investing a lot in increasing the capabilities. And towards that end, in our last Ecosystem Business Summit, we were very happy to announce that if you joined the WorkSpan network, we would help you plug and play into the Microsoft ecosystem, where you could set up, you could digitize your collaborative motions with Microsoft around co-sell and referral opportunities, where your co-sell and referral opportunities that were tagged with Microsoft would be routed digitally with very little effort through WorkSpan to be registered on your account in Microsoft Partner Center, which is their portal for managing co-sell motions. And vice versa, any referrals that Microsoft tags for you in Microsoft Partner Center would flow automatically via WorkSpan to your CRM, so that your salespeople receive that referral opportunity really quickly, and then are enabled on that opportunity by directly connecting to the Microsoft sellers, because the contact information is embedded in the records. So they would have they would be able to directly communicate with the Microsoft seller and achieve efficiency and cut down on layers and days of of putting a connection together for that account for that customer. So this is an authorized offer from Microsoft, and for less than $1,000, you can get started and plug into the Microsoft ecosystem enabled through the multi-company network that WorkSpan has established. And today in this session, I'm excited to share with you that we have extended this offer with Amazon. Now we have an Amazon authorized offer by which your company can connect with Amazon to start engaging in co-sell and referrals with the Amazon AWS cloud. Towards that end, any opportunities that your salespeople tag in your CRM with Amazon will automatically, according to the access policies that you set up on WorkSpan, will get routed through WorkSpan to register digitally on the AWS ACE portal, which is their portal for registering referrals and opportunities. And vice versa, any opportunities that AWS sellers identify that are relevant for you, in which they want you to co-sell, those referrals that were displayed to you on the AWS ACE portal now can digitally, WorkSpan is able to digitally pick those up and route them back to your CRM so that your sellers have access to those opportunities much faster, as much as 1 to 2 weeks faster, and have direct contact information between your and your AWS partner sellers, which allows them to engage in a timely, high velocity manner on the joint opportunities that you are engaging in. And at the same time, WorkSpan gives all the right management tools and access policies to the partnering teams, so that the partnering teams can measure what is flowing back and forth. The partnering teams can encourage the collaboration to happen and step in when they see things are flagging, so that opportunities can keep moving at the right velocity. I'm tremendously excited about this offer, which enables you to now work with 2 of the top cloud companies in the world. And these are the kinds of investments we'll continue making in WorkSpan to help you not only run your own ecosystems better, but also plug into other companies' ecosystems so that your ecosystem impact gets accelerated and ultimately the end customer can be served effectively. With that, Chip, I would pause here and see if there are questions for me.
Thank you, Mayank. That was terrific. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And we do have a couple of questions. So one question from Michael Koch. Michael asks, I'm curious to understand how you prioritize which partners to focus on and how you manage channel conflict.
So from a WorkSpan digital tool point of view, we help you. We help digitize your policies. You may choose which partners to prioritize with, which partners you are investing more in, which partners are eligible for your initiatives. On your decisions, we then effectively digitize it. On the WorkSpan network, we look at who are the primary companies in the industry that people want to work with, and we have partnering motions going on with them to bring them onto the network and hook them up so that you can play into their ecosystems. So that's something that I wanted to share with you. But in a later session, David Stone has a very interesting topic on how you could think about prioritizing which partners are more relevant to you and why. And that's a framework discussion that I'm really eager to have with David Stone in the from HP in the third session, in the fourth session of the day. And I invite you to listen to that session.
Good one. Excellent. Mayank, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and insights.